I had a complete painting. Come here. You know, I had one painting that was totally complete. You see all these? I left some, but I didn't like it. And I painted over, and now I have to go on again. You see, the red is from the previous painting.
He didn't have any paints with him that first night, but he had advice for me, and I was playing around with him. Remember, we were playing around, and he's telling me what my painting needed, and I was just kind of putting it in. Of course, I went home and changed everything, you know. But that's where I met Eduardo, in my class.
At the risk of offending him, I might say that it was sort of about the level of what a high school kid would do in his first 3 or 4 months of painting. And then he started progressing rapidly. I was amazed at it, but then I thought a little bit more about it, and knowing him as I have known him, one thing that was always a part of his life was art. Whenever he went on trips abroad, he always made sure he got all of the museums in. He's a collector of art. He spent a considerable amount of money collecting art.
He sort of traveled around the world collecting. So it makes sense that he sort of chose to indulge this creative side, but I don't think any of us expected it, and we definitely didn't expect this sort of like wildly successful career.
He started getting shows here and there, nice shows, getting into juried shows, getting honorable mentions and merit awards, and went off to Vermont studios, which you have to make it through a couple hoops to get into there. So, you know, that kind of sincerity and perseverance and dedication is what it really takes to be a good artist.
I never know what is going to happen until I have the end product. And it's like a discovery. It goes through days, through weeks, where you are trying to find a way to express your emotions, your feelings, and you finally get a product which you are happy with. And, you know, in that way, there is some correlation between what I did in science and what I do with my paintings.
He was a very successful scientist. He's enjoying a life as a painter now, but an extremely successful scientist when I first got to know him. He received a number of national scientific prizes in this country and in other countries, an honorary degree. He's did his work in medical research. And was extremely successful at it.
I think when he started, it was right after he had retired from science. He had retired rather abruptly. I don't think he was quite ready to just stop all scientific work altogether. And I think the first year of his art, it was really quite therapeutic. I think it was sort of a gorging of sort of everything that he was feeling about both his scientific career and maybe even about our family a little bit. And now, I think what you see is like really just a lot of his happiness and joy. At the beginning, you could sort of see the scientific influence, and now he's really abandoned that, and it's much bolder, it's bright colors, he's, I think, taking a risk. There's still some, remnants of science and math. I mean, things are very geometrical, you see shapes and straight lines a lot, but that isn't really the overwhelming sentiment when I look at his art. Now I just see more of his just risk-taking, and his just like desire to sort of experiment with colors and with textures.
Everything you experience, everything you taste, feel, touch is going to have an influence. Everything that you have an opinion about is going to somehow come into your work. And also, life itself is going to come into your work. Life is a precious thing. And when you feel a disease like that progressing, I'm sure that you're not going to waste time. And that's one thing I will say about Eduardo is, since the day he walked into my studio, that's when he started painting. And he hasn't wasted any time.
Oh, side by side,
Yes.
they really come out really well.
You see?
Do you usually paint in pairs or?
I paint in pairs of 3
Okay.
because it takes time for them to dry and go on. This is beautiful. This is so
I think
to-
we were all, and I say we, my brother and sister, we were very excited that he had some sort of outlet because his retirement was so abrupt, and he is so mentally active and engaged that it was scary to think that he might not have something to do with all of that intellectual energy. And I think this has been kind of the perfect way for him to sort of combine his creative side with his constantly thinking, active mind.
The other thing that's, I think, remarkable about his persona is that he does suffer from MS, but he doesn't allow it to get the better of him. He's off in his career in art. He had to retire from a career in science, and he's off in this career in art, and he's extremely positive about, he was positive about his scientific work, he's extremely positive about his art, and ebullient about it. Every time he does a painting, it's wonderful, it's awesome, each one is. He has tremendous positive attitude about it.
The words or phrases that I would use are just determination and hard work. And he was always also very optimistic. He always sort of looked for the best in every situation or in every person, even though the situation might be somewhat sour.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My multiple sclerosis is chronic progressive multiple sclerosis, which means that slowly is progressing, and I have problems with my left arm and with my left leg, and I need to walk with a cane. But fortunately, I paint with my right hand, and I have no problems with that hand. I always feel that, I'm quite lucky that my MS could be much worse than it is, and it's just concentrated on my left side, and I have some problems walking or some problems holding things with my left hand, but besides that, I can do my work in the studio without any problem. I think that doing my art every day, doing my paintings, working hard, really takes me completely away from the idea that I suffer from multiple sclerosis. It really makes a very, very fulfilling life, and as I said before, for the first time in my life I feel completely free. I didn't know what freedom was before, and I feel extremely happy.
Recently I saw this woman, she said, I said, what are you painting? She said, gratitude. And when I looked at it, this reminds me, it was like kind of like a light, and almost like the lines were like hugging the light. And I looked at it for a minute and I said, oh, that's what I'm talking about, gratitude. Now how do you paint gratitude? You can, I guess I could paint two people hugging each other, but that might not be gratitude. It's more than that. That's why we dive into the abstract.
I don't have a name for that painting yet. Sometimes I ask people, what do you see? And from that I get a title. It's not easy to give titles to paintings. There are so many. Perhaps I should call this gratitude. Yes, I will call these three paintings gratitude, 1, 2, and 3.